Good morning, true believers. BUB'S Comics coming at you with a quick comic haul. If you guys know, I've been shedding the collection, getting rid of a lot of books that for me are just taking up too much space, slimming down. And so in exchange for that, of course, I've been picking up some books that I'm more excited about than the ones I'm getting rid of. So when you put a cap on your collection, it's very easy to do that because you know that there's only so much room you have. I get much more selective in the books that I pick up. So here's where we're at. First one up is a eBay kind of stealth buy, some people would call it. Let's make me small and get to the haul. There you go. So what this was this was a book. I have alerts set on eBay, and if you guys aren't using alerts on eBay, you're missing out. After you do a search for something that you're after, if it's a book on your want list or anything like that, you do a search, right? And then after that search, you go ahead and save the search, and then it'll send you, it will inundate you with messages and things letting you know when all these things are available. So that's fine. You can deselect some of the options like text messaging and other things like that, which I do. So in any case, this was a saved search that I had, and I was very fortunate one popped up. And as soon as they do, it's a little bit behind. So if something becomes available in the middle of the night, then you probably won't see it till the next morning. But other than that, it's pretty solid. So here's what I picked up. I'm pretty sure I got it the same day it was available. And I'll have another tip for you after I show it. Here is Planet Comics number 16. It's from 1942. And this, as you all know, I'm collecting these Golden Age Planet comic books, or Atomic Age, whatever you guys want to call it. And these are just fantastic. This is actually a book that is... It's hard to say any of these books are readily available. But if there is a rivet cover that I have seen probably more than 3 times this year for sale, it's this one. But they always want a lot. I think there's one for sale for about 5 times what I paid for this one right now, in about half the condition of this one. So they're usually low grade. Sometimes they're a little bit better, but this one here, I just think it's great. It's got the giant action rivet cover, which means it's got the little rivets inside the planet there name. It's like a metal there. And then it's got all this cool stuff going on. Look at that. Look at that thigh action there. Look at that. My goodness. That's fantastic. I mean, just the inks on it, so good. And he's like gripping a piece of a building or something. It's really, really good. And the colors actually for this book aren't too bad, because it's supposed to be green and kind of orange and red and light brown. So it's actually pretty good colors for this book. So my other tip on that is that when you see a buy it now pop out, and it also has an or best offer, give it a test offer. Go ahead and put in, maybe not a low ball offer, but put in something that's over 20% off. And what you're looking for when you do this, and it's because a lot of people, like I got excited when I saw this book for this price. I bought it from the UK. So when I saw this book pop up on eBay for this price, I was like, oh man, this is going to be great. So, and I was this close to just hitting buy it now. But it had or best offer. Now you could say, well, you're playing a game here, because if you do or best offer and someone else jumps in and kind of steals it from you, that can definitely happen if you're wasting too much time. But what I'm talking about is doing this all very quickly. So as soon as I saw it, I saw all best offer. I put it in an offer over 20% off. And what I'm looking for is an instant rejection. And you say, well, Bub, surely you want someone to accept it. No, I'm looking for an instant rejection, because an instant rejection tells me that they have set up some sort of parameters under which they will likely accept an offer, which is good. So I say, okay, because you can do that in eBay. I say, okay, so it rejected my offer right away. So I just bumped it up. Now, in other times when I have more time, I do the actual calculation, because there's certain settings that eBay will predetermine. Well, do you want 15%, 17%, 8%, 6%, whatever. So, but I didn't have time for all that because I didn't want to lose this book. So I put in another offer, just $5. Now, sometimes you'll see at the top when you do that, it will say you only have 2 offers left. So when you see that, you back out. You know, maybe you give that second offer, but other than that, I'm just like, okay, I'm just going to either buy it now, or I'm going to try to make a really good offer, only like 5 or 6% under, and see if that wins it. But when you have, when it doesn't say that, then that means you can make unlimited offers. So just keep bumping it up. Even, I mean, if you're crazy, bump it up $1 if you got tons of time. But I just bumped it up $5 until it hit and it accepted it. So I got this even less than the listed price, and the listing price was an absolute steal. So that's my tip there on eBay buy it nows. Even when you're in a crunch and you're scared someone else is going to get it, if it has a buy it now, you've got a few. It took me less than a minute to put in all those offers and to finally get one that accepted it. So I'm always looking for those auto rejects. When it auto rejects, I'm like, yes, because that means somewhere that person has set an auto accept, and it's going to be less than the price that it's listed for. So you save a little bit of money. In this case, I basically got free shipping and covered the tax, and I still saved a little money on top of that. So good deal. So that's Bub's tip. Planet Comics, my earliest one, very proud to own it. Number 16. It's beat but complete, as they say, so glad to have it. All right, so the next batch of books are all from a trade-in that I took to a local comic shop that I just absolutely love. They're absolutely fantastic. I've dealt with them before, and it's the same shop I sold my last batch of books to. So I brought this last batch from the Culling the Collection video. Actually, the last 2 videos that I did in that series, it was over 130 books, and I brought them in. And at first it wasn't. He was like, "Well, this isn't as good as the last batch you brought me." I was like, "Look, I know it isn't, because it didn't have any Spider-Man, didn't have any Batman." This was a batch that was kind of in between letters. It had a lot of M, which got like Marvel Comics Presents and a lot of, Marvel other, kind of fanzine type stuff. And so he gave me an offer. I wasn't displeased with it. I thought it was fair, actually. And so I bumped it up just a little bit and said, hey, you want to do that in store credit instead? So there's another tip. When you're selling to shops, people ask me actually quite a lot, because I think selling to a shop can be a little intimidating. So they ask me, how do you negotiate when you sell to a shop? And I say, usually, if it's a shop that I buy from often, then I'll go for a mix of cash and store credit, or just store credit. Because, what's that cash amount going to do me if I'm going to turn around and probably buy comics anyway? And they're much more happy to deal with you in store credit. And one of the reasons that they're happier to deal with you in store credit is because it takes the onus off off my sale of my books to him, for him to try and make money, and instead pushes it onto a sale that he's already had, or a purchase of books that he's already made and then priced. So for instance, here's the first book in the haul, in this trade haul. I got Daredevil Number 6, which was a book that I've been after to complete my Daredevil run. And I'm trying to pick up numbers 1 through 11, which are the Wally Wood covers. And this one's number 6. He also had number 3, but it was priced higher than I wanted to pay. Not that it was a bad price for that book. It was just in really good condition. And I'm missing number 2, 3, and 6. So here's number 6. So I only got 2 books left to complete that little run, that little set that I'm going for. And so here is Daredevil Number 6. Look at that great yellow costume. Good stuff. So the idea here is that when I knew he had this book, because he'd been posting online, and he had just got it the day before. So the idea is that when you walk in and you're going to sell books to the shop, it's a little touchy negotiation if it's a place you shop at, but they're more willing to deal with you in store credit, because I don't know how much. I know how much he had this book listed for. The price he had it was totally reasonable, considering the condition and everything. It's a very reasonably priced book. But when I saw that I'm going to be trading in books for cash, well, if I'm going to turn that cash around and buy this book anyway, then basically he gets his money, because he has marked this up above whatever he paid for it. But if I do it in store credit, it works out even better, because he knows exactly how much he's paid for this book. He knows exactly how much he's getting when I pull it off the rack. So he's like, look, not only do I have all these books that I just bought from this guy to sell, but I basically traded a larger stock and he's going to walk out with a much smaller stock, and whatever he walks out, I'm already getting profit off the books that I've priced. So a good shop will always want to deal in store credit because they know that they're going to get their money, even more money back, because they've already built in profit to every price tag that's on the rack. So if you can get your mind wrapped around that, then most stores are willing to do it in store credit, and they don't have to come off any cash. So even if it's been a slow day or a slow week for the shop, they're more apt to buy from you. You don't walk in and say, hey, I want to trade these in for store credit. You always find out what the cash offer is first, because you never know. It could be more than you thought it was going to be. This has happened to me before. I walk in, I'm like, hey, you want to take these books? They shoot me a price a couple of $100 more than I thought that I was going to get. Okay, well, I'll take those couple of $100 more in store credit, and I'll take the rest in cash. And they love that because it keeps a customer too. So anyway, here's the next one. Amazing Spider-Man 46, first appearance of Da Shaka. So when I show this book, I usually show it like this, and that's because it's got a rip right there. Well, look at that. It says, who says this isn't the Marvel age of vile new villains? You and Spidey are about to be jolted by the Sinister Shocker. And I like that it says Sinister because, as you know, Sinister 6 for Spidey. So that's always cool. So Amazing Spider-Man 46, first appearance of the Shocker. Isn't it funny how books come to you? Put down in the comments below if this has ever happened to you. But when I am, sometimes I actually, this sounds bad. I actually thought about this book in the shower the morning before I went to the shop. I actually thought about it. I was like, you know what? I don't have a lot of ASM. There's a couple of key ASM Silver Age books that I'd like to have, and I have most of them, but this was one that I've never owned, and I was like, you know what? I'd like to have the first Shocker. I've always loved his costume. I thought it was cool. I love this cover, this action pose. I was like, you know what? I'd always like to have the first Shocker. That'd be cool. And then the very same day I walk in the shop, this is sitting on the shelf, and I pick it up on a tray to store credit. So with all those books. So, I mean, you guys have seen the books that I've been getting rid of. Wouldn't you be happy to get these two books in exchange for all those? I was. And that's not all, as they say. So I also picked up Dick Tracy number 32. So this one's probably about 1950 or so. Harvey Comics. These were reprints of comic strips, but very cool. I love the Dick Tracy books, and they're fun reads. So Dick Tracy number 32. Look at all that black in there and speckles, and that's pretty cool. And then here's another one, Dick Tracy number 34. This one's really cool. So it has that guy's holding back the girl, right, and he's stoking the fire to try and plume out or smoke out Dick Tracy. He says, they're smoking us out, Tracy. Look, isn't that great? Just Chester Gould goodness. Not everyone's a fan of his art, but I think it's great. I think if you can buy a Peach Momoko or whatever, you can definitely get behind this good stuff. Here's number 49, March. So this would be creeping into 1951 on this one. And this has got a Mumbles appearance. So it says, will Tracy be in time, or will Mumbles blow them all to kingdom come? And then down here it says, and I'm going to do my best Mumbles impression, so give me a break here. It says, gonna blow them all up. Q you too. It says, Mumbles, don't, you're crazy. So great stuff. Mumbles going to get his revenge. And then here's the last book that I traded for. And also I got two pops, which I don't have handy, or I'd show them as well. So that was nice too. So I traded all these books. I got all these books and two pops, two collectibles. And then this last book, you guys know I collect some modern. There's certain artists that I really like, but I cut down my pull list. I chopped off all my all my pre-orders. I purged myself of all that stuff because it was just cluttering up the collection with modern books that I'm excited to get each week, and then right after that I don't care anything about hardly. And they're all just pinup covers mostly anyway, and they're not even great stories. So it's just art buys, and really I can appreciate it without owning most of those. But there's a couple of artists that I really still like, a couple of characters I really still like, even in pinups. And this year there was a book that came out, and it's been fairly recent, a couple months ago, and I just couldn't get over it. I've picked it up and put it down at probably 5 different shops I've been to since this book came out. I've held it in my hand and kept putting it back. Why? Because the price tag, $5 modern book, you know, I just don't want to spend that. And I was like, you know what, this time on this credit, I bet I could sneak it in, and I did. So I got all these books, including this one. It's the one that I've really wanted, and it's Wonder Woman 765, the Joshua Middleton cover. I think a contender for cover of the year. Especially if you're going to open up the category to books that where the cover have nothing to do with what's inside. But if you're going by a portrait cover, a headshot, whatever you want to do, this cover is just fantastic. It looks so good. It's just, and the further away it gets, the more real it looks. It's just absolutely fantastic. Cardstock cover. It's just killer, man. So that's my feeling on that. We'll see. We'll see what we if we go forward buying more books like that. I don't know, but these modern books that I've been passing on, there have been so many books that I would have picked up in the last couple months. I mean, a ton of books I would have picked up in the last couple months, and this one included. But out of all those books, this is really the only one that I regret, if you will, not getting. So that being the case, I pick it up now. Everybody's happy, and we roll that way. So that's what's going on there. That's my haul. Hope y'all enjoyed that. I will leave you. Look at all these books, man, on trade. Tell me this isn't working out. Get rid of your books, people. If they're not making you happy anymore, move them on and get something that will. So, and we'll leave you with, of course, Planet Comics number 16. Working on the collection. This is my 32nd book in the run out of 73. So we still got a long way to go. But maybe we're just quite young enough to see it through. So, all right, we'll catch you next time on BUB'S Comics. Remember to read a comic and don't apologize for the glare. Bye-bye.